Hey, welcome to Native Wellness Institute. It is 133 weeks that we've been on the Power Hour. So, okay, ni studi daniko makoyo sakoi. My IRS name, ha ha ha. I do pay taxes. Don't come looking for me, okay? I is Theda Newbreast, and I am part of the large team of Native Wellness Institute. And today, we're in Sacramento, California, and we're just going to do some dialogue. But I'm going to ask my special guest. Would you please introduce yourself?
Sintamana, how are you all? Winawanan Kanima, my friends and relatives. My name's Leticia Aguilar, Pinoleville Pomo Nation. I am here serving as the director of Native Dads Network and founder of Native Sisters Circle. I'm a proud mother of 3, and just a couple of my many hats that I wear. And, you know, as we all know, as women, we wear a lot of those different hats. But today I am here as a special guest.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
We've just been together the past few days because we're getting ready for this large Native women's gathering that it's growing out of Native Dads Network. It's the grandmas, it's the mothers, it's the wives, it's the sisters, it's even the exes, eh? All the exes from Sacramento, no.
And the aunties.
And the badass daughters and the badass aunties.
The cousins.
We were teasing Mike Duncan, the badass auntie with braids. Oh, Mike, hey, Albert, all right, hey. So let's begin our 133rd week. And the topic is around healing and hope for Native women. And we called it healthy sexuality. So I'm just gonna tell you like my part. They brought me down here, flew down from Alaska, flew out of Idaho, and I came here, and they've been treating me well. They took me for a pedicure, took me for a massage. I know this. Yeah, look at that. It's just kind of a woman's thing. We like to, self-care. We've been doing a lot of self-care. And so one of the things that I'm going to talk about when we have all of our 120 women together, and I'm going to start it here, is with healthy sexuality. And, you know, ever since I appeared on Reservation Dogs season 2, episode 5, there's been so much open dialogue on people asking me for crystals. I mean, literally, like, you got any of those crystals? Or they ask for that medicine that was in the mysterious brown bag. I know, you know, he's in Wyoming. And this young man, when he's about 17, he goes, you got any more of that medicine? And I said, on the show or like for real medicine? So we had this hour-long discussion, and he was just telling me that he liked a girl. And I said, because on the show, on Reservation Dogs, those women decided to smudge their vaginas because their vaginas were sacred. Mm-hmm. And I said, so then that means you have to smudge your scrotum. And he goes, oh, he goes like this. I go, don't you think your scrotum's sacred? There's all kinds of sperm in there. It can make all kinds of babies. Just don't be squirting it around. Anyhow, as you can tell, we just have fun. I've been having fun since I've been here. Too much fun. So we decided, and we're just going to announce it here. When I was in Alaska, there's a lot of liberated women in Alaska. And I'm not going to name names because they'll say, my God, Theda just outed us. No. So these liberated women, I said, wow, you know, I'm going to Sacramento, California, and the Sisters Circle is going to have all these women from the 87 rancherias and some other, I'm coming down, and we want to talk about orgasms. We're going to talk about orgasms. So the liberated sisters, they go, I said, rather than, when we go to Indian conferences and we still do it, we love the t-shirts, we love the squeeze balls, we love the water bottles. But at this particular conference, we're going to be raffling a few dildos. Right. Well, look at this one. Okay.
This is our badass auntie.
This is a badass auntie. It's still in the box. It's still in the box. And I'll just mention that it's doesn't harm anything. You don't have to pay taxes. You don't have to ask for alimony. Yeah. You don't have to ask for child payment. You don't have to anyway fight around or just, and it's in humor. So this
no STDs.
Oh yeah.
Right?
What do you think of this? What do you think when you look at this?
Well, I just think that you definitely can't catch STD with that. So maybe have to make some tacos after. That's all.
It's just our humor. But the liberated women, and we went into this giant warehouse. It was called The Cage, and it was all about healthy sexuality. They were even telling me on Netflix that they're have so many customers. It was crowded in there, and it was a Saturday night in Anchorage, Alaska. And they were telling me that it's crowded because Netflix is showing how to make a sex room where consenting adults could enjoy each other. And so everybody's coming into their store. So this is one, we went up and down the aisles. There was hundreds of sex toys, positive sex toys for men to have orgasms. She was even showing me prostrate butt plugs. She said, yeah, okay, they were giving me an education. And badass auntie, I know some things, but what this is about is to encourage you, go take a trip. Go with your consenting partner, same sex, LGBTQ, to spirit, go and educate yourself and how you could enhance and empower your love together. So I'll just say this particular one will be won by one of the women, and it will come with education. It will come with talking circle, and it's going to come with smudge. It's going to come with water. It's going to come with safety. And just if you're looking at it like you're saying, what the hey? This part right here stimulates the clitoris. Yeehaw! and this part, the G spot. Yeehaw! So this is badass, Auntie. This is so, and it's available. It's available to explore your healthy sexuality in 2023. So I'm just gonna set this. Put it right here. And I brought Leticia. Oh, and I just love this woman. I've been with her daughter. I've been with her coworkers, Mary, her Albert, Mike Duncan. And I brought her on because behind us, is their brand new flag. And they're gonna have their brand new conference. And so could you just tell us some history or whatever's on your mind? Just like, ooh, and I almost got like, this is good because the hair raised up on me, like spiritually.
Nice.
And I don't take that lightly, because that means your ancestors and my ancestors are probably having a good little conversation, and they're probably looking at saying, what the hell? Look at our women liberated. So, right. So I'm just gonna hand it over to you, sister. Tell us what have you guys been doing? You have this flag, you have this conference, you have your husbands. Tell us a little bit about this movement and this healing effort.
Okay, so thank you for having me on, first of all, Yahui, and thank you for all of our relatives that are out there supporting us. And shout out to Badass Auntie. So Native Sister Circle was something that was developed through a vision that I had as being a mother and really looking for a place for my daughter to feel safe and being able to embrace her identity culturally. And what does that look like, in the form of a support group, a talking circle? Some people might look at it as like counseling or, because they get to the certain age, I would say somewhere around 12, where they start to want to explore who they are. And for us moms, it can be really hard. And it does take a village. And I went out and, kind of like knocking on doors, looking for help. Our aunties are so important. I'm a big believer in aunties because, our daughters don't always want to share information with us, or they don't always want us to be the one to give them that information. And even though, my whole life, I'm like, my daughter, I'm going to tell her everything. She could tell me everything. And she just chose one day that I wasn't going to be the one to tell, and so being able to find a place for her was so important for me. And there was really nothing that, no place like that here in Sacramento. And something that I felt needed to be fulfilled. So Creator just said, well, looks like you got to start it. And I just hit the ground running from there. Right.
That's sometimes, with women, and I want you to continue, but sometimes with women, after we're done crying, after we're done having the feelings, we got to get up into action. And I just want to applaud you. I want to applaud Native Dads Network. I want to applaud the Sister Circle because they have gotten into action. So tell us more.
Yes, so it has been a beautiful journey, and a lot of it has just been created by guidance from Creator. I never thought I would be in this space, but I did know that there was something that was bigger than me coming, right? And so what that looks like is in the form of Native Sister Circle. Shout out to Native Dads Network. They have been one of our biggest supporters in being able to help us develop that. And so with the logo, we needed something to represent that Native Sister Circle and what that means. And so for us, we're really big on culture because it's who we are, right? It's our identity. It's what ensures our survival. Like everything, our whole belief system is around culture. And so I wanted to put that in the form of our logo. And so our girls, they got together in our group one day, and they created the name Sisters because but they also wanted that to be symbolic of something, because sisters speak so much about their relationships and what they mean to one another, right? And then it turned into Native Sisters, and then we threw in the circle because a lot of the teachings that we have are our circle teachings, equality and just being a part of something, belonging to that circle. And so Native Sister Circle, that's how that came about collectively. And again, it takes a village. I never could do this by myself. And so we thought about the basket concept. And our baskets as Native women, and men make baskets too, but really the basket symbolizes that prayer. And from all the way from when you gather that material and you make that offering to Mother Earth, and then you take the time to weave that basket, and whatever that prayer is, it really comes together. And so I just love, the basket and the meaning behind it. And so I knew I wanted something to represent that. So I reached out to Johnny Clay, and I was telling him about these visions that I had and how I wanted to bring that to life in the form of a logo. He's a great artist. Shout out to Johnny Clay. He ended up drafting up this vision that I had, and we have the acorns in here. We have the color purple, which is I feel like is a really strong color. We have the reds. We have the flicker bands, and the flicker band, it came to our people in a time when, our survival was dwindling, and Creator sent the flicker bird to our people, and the flicker said that you can eat me. And so in return, we dance the flickers and we honor that bird. every time we're in prayer and every time, we're reminded that, we honor, all of these sacred things that had influenced our survival. And so there's a little backstory behind that. But our men also wear the flicker bands. If you'll see California dancers, they also dance the flicker. So we have the little flicker flags on this side, and the top knots, these are what the women would wear, during dance. So a lot of femininity in there. I love it. The feathers, they're so fluffy. And so he did an amazing job. After the art was done, we sent it to one of our friends, William Centra, from Bishop, and he's a great graphic artist. So he just digitized it, and we were able to put it up for print and then really represent our girls, and our group in that way, and wear it with pride. And so that's the story of how our logo came about. And so a lot of messaging and a lot of empowerment behind that, cultural beliefs and really things that we represent as Native women.
Thank you, Leticia. So we'll talk a little bit about this healthy sexuality, because when our women come together, we're going to start off soft and gentle. They're all coming together, and we're going to hear speakers. We're going to have a beautiful dinner with lots of good food. And down here, man, these people just feed up good. I don't know what it is, that it's that protocol. There's a lot of protocol of gentleness, of kindness, of like our grandmas, our women, our mothers, our life givers. It's like that life giving. So we're going to start when the women come on Friday, and we're going to have some speakers. We're going to ask everyone to sleep gentle. I get to talk to them on Saturday, and then we have Jerry Bruno coming to talk to them. Tell us a little bit about some of your speakers or what you're going to be doing at your conference.
Yeah, so this conference will be our first in-person conference, Hope and Healing 2022. Our first annual was on Zoom during the pandemic. And so it's really exciting to get all of our women together. I would say after, all of this stuff that we've been through, and really creating a space of safety, creating a space of empowerment, and really bringing in these strong aunties to help to guide our women into what our future should look like, and in our present as well, and a lot of empowerment is needed nowadays. We went through such a hard time. I feel like through this pandemic, we might have lost a little, a little of our mojo or whatever that is, because sometimes, grief and trauma does that. And I really want everyone to be able to come together and just have some fun and some healing, and whatever that looks like for you. Show up for yourself, and but also spend time with one another, and then lay down those prayers and keep it going and continue it for our next conference, and keep our communities looking forward to continued healing and continued education. We will have some youth in the building, and so that is also a powerful thing, to have our young girls in there and starting them off so early, and really getting them educated and empowered by these wonderful aunties that have all this knowledge. Like, I'm excited. I'm like, I need to learn some stuff.
We're like,
yeah.
okay.
I'm like, teach
Dun,
me.
dun, 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 dun.
Yes, it's a time of learning, it's a time of healing, it's a time of releasing,
Yeah.
and just being in one place and doing that all within, sharing our energy together with some strong women and young women, and really embracing that sacredness. There's so much power that us as Native women hold, and maybe we may know that, and maybe we may not, or maybe we forgot. But we are these portals. We're these sacred portals. We give life. Our bodies are forever changing and going through these processes of whether if it's aging or our moon time, and sometimes, you know, we need to be reminded throughout that change that it's a beautiful thing. Right. It's not sometimes our girls are like cramping and, you know, they're all grumpy or hungry. But I'm like, but that's a beautiful thing. And how can we teach these or provide these tools to our young ones and to ourselves to say like, hey, you're beautiful no matter what you look like, no matter your income level, or no matter what society teaches you. You are beautiful, you are sacred. We're the only ones that give life on this earth, right?
Exactly.
It don't feel better than that, right? Like what power is in that we don't really speak about on a daily basis. And so I want to really touch on all of these beautiful things. I want to make sure that we're having lots of fun, and, you know, and I'm just so honored to have this village of women and aunties. Auntie Mary Hummingbird has been amazing mentor to me, to where I can be in this space to be able to open the door for young women. And I hope to be that one day to these other young women that are coming in this new generation. Because I want to kick my feet up one day.
Exactly. Yeah. We were talking about that because, like, in shout out to Mary, you know, Mary has she is rock solid, foundational of a lot of this effort. And I see her handing the baton to you. I see her handing it to other of the mothers. I see her handing, and that, you know, one of the life-giving circles are that empowerment. Women have it in them. And so when you have it in you, what do? And so at this conference, as a conduit, as a traditional practitioner, we want to have even the 8-year-old, the 12-year-old, and the 75-year-old find her voice. And find her voice. And all that means is we want to hear her story. And we want to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly. And to let go of the ugly and to keep the good and to hand that down. And to hand that down. So, you know, Letitia, we were talking, you know, when I was 12 years old, and this is just like, this is in the 60s, we were all virgins, but it was women's liberation. And it was women, you know, had burned their bras. But I remember I was all 12 years old with all my friends. And we heard that you could go down to Planned Parenthood and learn about yourself and we heard it was a pap and a pelvic. And then you could learn how to test around and look for, you know, your own breast exams. And we were like 12, you know. And we're all virgins. We like read about it, but we're like, you know, we're virgins. So we held hands. we all said, we're going down, we're gonna get liberated, you know, and we're like scared, we're like anxious, you know. And we went down there and it was a beautiful experience. They did a pap and a pelvic, and they did this thing, and it was liberating. They you know, they put the speculum in and they pulled it apart and they gave us a mirror. And I said, that's your cervix. That's your beautiful cervix. That's where babies are going to come from. That's where life is created. I just heard there's 8 billion people on the earth now. So every 8 billion people came out of that cervix, you know, or not that one, but a cervix. And I almost, you know, I get the emotion around it. It's like, we had our own little circle after, and we go, wow, did you see your cervix? And what did your cervix look like? And so we're like, man, I didn't know my cervix was all pink. I didn't know it looked like this. It was just little girls. And anyway, we all got a pap and pelvic, and we all learned how to give our own breast exam. And they said, if you want, we can put you on birth control so you have choice. And so he said, what does that mean? That means if you get in the moment with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, you know, if you get in the moment where sperm can be squirted in that cervix, you have control and sovereignty of your own body. You are in charge of all of your body, your decisions, and you will have choice whether you want to produce a life or not produce a life. And we know right now there's some not so good people out there trying to, with laws, with Supreme Court trying to say, we're going to tell you what you do with your cervix. Hell no. Hell no. We are in charge.
Yeah.
And so that I just speeded up. None of us got pregnant. None of us just started popping out babies. We all took time to mature, time to go through rites of passage, time to learn our songs, time to experience life before we chose to have children. And so it may not be whoever's listening. We just want the next 10 generations to have choice. And so Leticia, like since you're here, I just want to kind of like pick your brain. Tell us, you don't have to name names or anything like that. Tell us some of the things that happen in your circles, or what's talked about that we can just share with so come on over. We're inviting you on. So tell us what goes on with these women's circles.
So there's a lot of conversation that goes on in these circles, and I feel like a lot of that conversation is our girls' experiences at school.
Yes.
I would say outside of our circle, there's things that they experience that are uncomfortable for them. And but it has been made to be socially acceptable. So like if they're in school, someone can come up and put their arm around them or slap them on the behind, and it's made to be acceptable and okay. And a lot of our girls really express that that's a normal thing, and or I would say a thing that happens frequently, and not a lot of people really speak up about that. It's like it's in the schools, it's the educators are there. I'm like, where's the yard duties? Where's the hall monitors? And who's policing that? Because our girls, as soon as they step outside of our circles, they're being exposed to this whole society that teaches objectification to women. We're made to be sexual objects, and all of these teachings that are having to be unlearned or or policed really in that education system that's supposed to be educating, right? And so we do have a lot of conversations about their comfort levels out in the world, and I'm able to provide support, and they're able to share amongst one another and empower one another, and like give advice to each other on like, oh, well, what I would do, or if I was there, I would say this, and they really provide tools to one another. Sometimes they just equip each other, and I'm just like the adult supervisor, right? On top of that, I also, like let them know, okay, these are things that we can do. And in that safe setting to where, it's okay to like say no. It's okay to speak up for yourself. Sometimes in society we're made to be quiet or take up less space as women. But it's okay to be loud and say, that's not okay. And I'm going to say something, or, I don't like that. And, so we do have some even more intense conversations, and the fact that it's a safe setting, I feel like that really allows for healing. And I think that the foundation for healing is the foundation to leadership.
Leadership. Yes.
And empowerment is also proven to create change. And so through healing, leadership development, and empowerment, we're already creating change in our communities.
Mhm.
Because once our girls step outside the circle, they're equipped with tools, they're equipped with confidence and confidence of who they are as Native girls. You know, I identify as a Native woman,
Mhm.
and so whatever we identify as, if we're supported in that, we can feel confident to challenge anything or take on anything, right? I even teach my 8-year-old a lot about the history of our people,
Mhm.
and he'll go to school and say, Columbus did not discover America, you know, and he'll feel good about it because he knows it's the truth, and he knows there's moms backing him, the community's backing him.
Exactly.
And so that's how our girls feel. They feel like they're not alone.
Ah.
Right. So when they speak, they know that they got a whole group behind them. They got a whole sisterhood, a whole sister circle behind them. And they really speak to that. And they feel good about it. And I think that me being here and speaking, you know, I feel like I'm not just speaking for myself. I speak for many of us, and just having the auntie support, it gives me the confidence to use my voice. And so it's empowering, you know, and a lot of good things come out of, a lot of good conversations come out of that, and healing.
And the proof is in the pudding, because I see all her girls. I mean, her daughter was like homecoming queen, but she's also an Azteca dancer, and she's also, I mean, she's just like 10 different things at once. And I was just going, wow, how could you be so successful at 10 different things at once? Because, like, just what you said, mom's behind you, dad's behind you, the community's behind you. You know, on this healthy sexuality, sometimes I'm in a group of 55 and older, and this is a success story. We were at a gathering, and I ended up with this one woman that I just adored because she was just so accomplished. But we were in the hot tub. So we're in the hot tub for 2 hours, just, you know, talking, that's what we do. It's like the healing self-care. And then badass auntie, I asked these questions. So I just said, well, when was the last time you and your husband had sex? You know, just and she was quiet for a moment. She goes, we haven't had much lately because it's painful. And so then, badass auntie, we're okay, let's see what some solutions A, B, C with this. And so we got to talking. I said, yeah, when we get a little bit older, we might need a little bit of help. I said, man, there's all kinds of cool lubricants. And so I was telling her, there's even some that water soluble, taste like strawberries. There's even ones that taste like blueberries. We could probably make one that tastes like acorn. Here's your lubricant. Right, exactly. So I have snag bags, and in the bags will be lubricant.
Yeah.
So long story short, that 2 hours, I said, she goes, well, how do you get that stuff? And it literally was, she didn't know how to get that stuff, like this stuff. And I said, well, sometimes you can order it online, but go to the bigger city and just Google sex toys, Google healthy sex. It'll come up, and go explore, go ask questions, pick up stuff, read it. Do you need batteries? Read it. Oh no, just educate yourself. And so anyway, her and I have been in contact, and I said, and take it back and tell your husband, honey, I love you. I want to keep on loving you. I want our sex life to be good. Will you explore this with me so that you and I could figure out how we could still enjoy each other, how we could just have a honeymoon? I mean, it could just be in the bedroom that night. You have fun, and you bring out this new thing, some lubricant. Right? Just bring out the lubricant, and then strawberry, exactly. And that it just enhance that thing that's been given to you as natural sexuality, to enjoy yourself, to have orgasms, to have multiple orgasms with someone you love, because when it's with someone you love, man, it's just like, it's not like 1 + 1 = 2. It's like 1 + 1 = 1,000. And that kind of is what we're encouraging you, is to tell your story, to share what you've gone through. And, like I'm checking in with her, and I just kind of like know down the line, I just want to come. I said, and then I want to come and meet your husband, and I want to hear his side too. Right, because badass auntie wants to hear all the stories. And so let me ask you this, Latitha, as we're getting ready, because all these women are coming, and we have the location. And what's your dream? Like what's your dream that, like, on next Monday all this happened? Just tell us what you think this gathering is gonna, what's your dream about it?
Wow. So there's so many dreams and goals and accomplishments that I would like to see come out of this. And I feel like if I could say, like, the one main thing would be reclaiming our titles as Native women. And that might look a little different to everyone, but I want everyone to feel good about who they are and what that looks like for them, because it might be different for all of us. And whatever that need is that is needing to be fulfilled, I want you to be able to get that there. And we're all at different ages and different walks of life, and so being able to leave with something and feel good about that, that's confidence.
Yes,
that's empowerment, and being able to feel good about who we are as Native women. And there's nothing better than that, right? It's like you could take on the world if you just felt really good about who you are as a Native woman, like truly that identity and walking in that walk that is Creator has put out for you. And then knowing that you're not alone. I think this pandemic has made us to feel like we're on our own and throughout this journey, and we're not, because when we all get together and we talk, we relate on all levels. Like, we just don't say it. Right?
Seriously.
Yeah.
And when we were talking, and this kind of a shout out to the single moms, I was sharing with Letitia that I always talk to single moms. And so single moms, we want to hear your story. And it was something that I heard, and my mother said it, and she's 84, and we were just having our mom just shares wisdom. And she said, after it didn't work out between me and your dad, and they were soulmates, and the only thing that I think separated them was alcohol. And even I think that without that, they would have been together forever. And I think when we all cross over, they're going to be together over there in the spirit world. But she said, when that didn't work out,
It's 13 hours.
she made a commitment to put her relationships with another man, to not have a stepfather, because she had dealt with Indian Child Welfare Act and all of these statistics. She didn't want to bring an outside man into the picture till we were safely grown. She never told us. She never told us that. She never told us. We just, because we'd think, well, mom should get a boyfriend, or mom should go out on a date, or mom should, but she just concentrated working. She just concentrated safety. She just concentrated good food on the table. We went to sports, we read, we got out of high school, we went to college, we got degrees. She sacrificed all that. And then she got a boyfriend. She did. She had this one boyfriend for 6 years. they, they had a good chapter, but I want to say, single moms, come to our circles, come get the support, come be who you are, come find out your authentic self, because maybe you shouldn't put that on pause. I mean, we can, because I had one woman in the Dakotas, she goes, why don't they just get a vibrator? But we're encouraging you to practice at relationships. We're encouraging you to have practice, practice, practice. Even with your daughter. I mean, we were having the anti-side conversation. I go, well, you have to practice a lot before you find your soulmate. It might be practice, 7 or 8, and then you find that person, and that person is the one that makes the magic, that you come together and you feel good together. There's no mistakes, nothing is bad, it's just all good. And it's just, you love each other, even for things, you don't pick on each other, petty things. You have the confidence that armed together, that union is more powerful. That union, it could be same sex, it could be partner, LGBTQ, two-spirit, that you walking that road ahead, raising children and grandchildren. And they may, be a family of choice. You may have adopted it, you may have brought, because now we're all like mixed. You got your kids, my kids, we come together, right? And we try to make it good for all the kids, right?
Yes.
And so I just I want to shout out to the single mothers, because this is kind of we're only women, is come join us and maybe make a plan and redating, reclaiming your courtship. Let someone court you in 2023. For the holidays, you're going to give yourself a gift to explore your healthy sexuality. You're going to be confident and embrace that there may be different ways to have your orgasm. There may be, because with women, and I always tell the story, one of my little nieces, she used to read Cosmopolitan for teens. And she came to me, and she was a virgin at the time, and she goes, oh, Auntie, she goes, look it, they had candles, soft music. It's really, the bedding is nice. Look at, this is how you're supposed to lose your virginity. And then she goes, oh, heck. Some of those girls, they just went out and had some Budweiser and boom, lost their virginity. She said, I that's what she said, oh, heck, I don't want it like that, Auntie. I want it like this. And so I'm just sharing that story, because we want this power hour is just to start the dialogue. It's just to invite you to explore yourself and your healthy sexuality. And that's I'm so glad that you're here, because I just think, this, what the sisterhood is doing. And I'm excited because they invited me, to come down in person. We did the last one last year. I did that virtually, and those are good, but God dang it, we want to do some stuff in person, right? Right. We want to, because even the laugh, the energy. And so in our kind of our winding down and closing, Lateetha, as I'm a 66-year-old, soon to be 67, and I'm still exploring. I'm still exploring what's good courtship. I'm still exploring what's romantic. And I'm still, I love that privacy of being with my life partner, and that we can explore each other. So, and he doesn't want me to, putting this out there, so I'm not gonna tell you what we do. But you could imagine. No. And so I'm still learning, but I want to take, whatever wisdom I have as an auntie, and I want to create a safe space for all the mothers. I want to create a safe space for even the brothers, but we're concentrating on the women right now. And I want to create a space where we can ask questions and where we can make a plan for our own healthy sexuality. And so that's kind of like where I am. And that's why Native Wellness Institute, we like to say positive, productive, and proactive. And Native Wellness Institute is having, is having their second in person in Phoenix, December 6th, 7th, and 8th. And you can go to our website. Native Dads is one of our allies. White Bison is one of our allies. Al Pooley and Sacred Fatherhood and Sacred Motherhood is one of our allies. We're going to get together next February. So we're, go to any of our sites, and we're starting to help each other, because we don't want to silo. We don't want to compete. That is so much bull, that goddamn competition. We want to ally, right? We want to ally. And that's why this power hour is on this subject. So what would you like to say in closing comments, or what you thinking, Latitha, before we sign off?
I just want to say that, wellness is a forever journey. It's a forever learning. And when you said practice, practice really is ongoing thing. And we don't just get to a destination and say, I'm well, I know it all. I know a couple people that will say I'm perfect, but I don't think that's true. And so it's ongoing, even when we're on our journey to pass on and cross over, we're learning how to do that. And so we're all worthy of healing. And so I would say, give yourself permission to heal. Give yourself permission to embrace yourself, and teach that healthy behavior to our children. So, we feel confident about who we are. And I think that will help to create better relationships with one another and with ourselves. Starting with ourselves, we have to give ourselves permission to heal, or to be loved, to learn, regardless of our traumas and those walls that we built. We have to allow ourselves to receive flowers, even, and not say, what did you do?
Oh, it's got me flowers. What's up?
You just want something. And just accept the beauty and trust.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Last night we went and we had Himalayan salt, lavender, aloe vera scrubs on our arms, and we got our nails done, and we're not going to lift up our feet, but we got our feet done. But we were sitting in these chairs, and it was just I was just sharing with Letitia. I said, I carry my stress here, and this is kind of like your voice. All of us, our tongue is a gift, and to get rid of stuff. We were like in the chair, and we were saying, when you do this, you can rub out that stress, just rub out that stress. You can rub it out here. And it was just so interesting, because we're both sitting in the chair, and at the bottom, it grabs your legs and massage your legs, and then it massage even like your butt, like, ooh, and then your upper back, and it's like, woo, and then it was massaging up here. So we're like just sitting there, and then both of us, I said, I just discovered when I'm healing, I yawn. And then because Letitia was going, oh, yeah, and then I said, yeah, when I do my transcendental meditation, or when I'm healing, and sometimes it's not that you're tired, you're healing. And so it's just like that. Oh, I mean, and just to do that. So that was our self-care. And we were there, like 3 hours, maybe more.
Yeah, I think, for me, time was like not even it was just so relaxing.
Right.
Even sometimes time just doesn't even matter.
So
yeah, a while.
No, but remember that is
Yeah.
when you're enjoying yourself, and when you're self-caring and pampering yourself and giving self-love, when you're expressing yourself, you lose track of time.
Yeah, I have no idea how long we were there for.
Well,
That's a good sign then.
but I remember kind of coming home about 9-ish.
Yeah.
And I
me
think
too.
I took out of here about 4:30ish. So in between there, we were just having a big dose in preparation for our conference of self-care. And so kind of we're sharing with you now. This is this dialogue. And again, if you want to come, there's more. I bought more of these, but we're going to be raffling some of these positive sex toys for women, because men don't have a clitoris, right?
Yeah,
And men have a
they're not
different
that
G
lucky.
spot, and men have a different G spot. So, and it's for purposes of making it a safe place and okay to talk about healthy sexuality. So we're gonna sign off. I'm figuring, Robert, thank you, Robert Johnston, for getting us on. Thank you, Robert, for always supporting us women. And thank you, Robert and Shannon and Shailene and Jolene and Lavina and Jean Tagabon and Lori Newbrass and Marcus Red Thunder, just to name a few of our team. And I want to thank you.
Thank you too,
I wanna thank
Auntie.
you. Mhm.
Oh,
Mhm.
so
Yeah,
amazing.
this, that sister hug, that's that connection. And so with that, we'll say every Wellness Wednesday we'll be here. We're going to continue this on. We've 133 weeks. We've been doing the Power Hour just to keep the teachings of our ancestors alive and to talk about things that will give us hope, that will give us healing, and inspire us and encourage us to take better care of ourselves, of our families, and of our community. So with that, we'll sign off. So kita kito matsuno, which means we'll see you later. We never say goodbye.